I have a lot of evidence against the Continuum of Care scam. Contrary to the claim of rebuilding lives, the unqualified staff members are in it for an easy paycheck. They do nothing for their so called clients. I was subjected to round the clock torture for simply politely requesting that they do their job instead of hiding in the office. I was housed with known sexual predators who could have broken into my room and raped me while the staff were hiding in the office. Uh, and I did nothing wrong. I simply said they should monitor these predators because I fear for my life. I don't choose where to reside. I'm unfree because of a developmental disability that was misdiagnosed. It's a long story. A lawyer has my money and was paying those abusers, and I would have been willing to pay rent elsewhere. It's better to have peace of mind than not. I was told snotty replies like "rent is standard," like anyone really thought that had anything to do with not choosing where to reside. I explained what the situation is, and every light was kept on full blast 24/7 while the sunlight was shining in because uh, the blinds were open. I have a light sensitivity called photophobia. The manager, Leanne Farley, wasn't kidding when she vowed revenge. Uh, the so called clients are prisoners. None of us could convince them to do anything for us. A motion activated light was installed at the door to my room. I had no choice. Every time I went near the door to my own room, my eyes got fried again. My eyes felt like they were on fire the whole time. Mike Inigo Jr. waited for me at a public park I'm known to frequent. He's a stalker. He had a history of stalking and sexually harassing women. I wasn't warned that I was housed with sexual predators. I was told that house was meant for people on the autism spectrum, and that's what my family was told. I was the prey sent to the predators. All signs point to a setup. The conservatorship occurred because a long time ago, a drug pusher vowed revenge and meant it because I expressed an unwillingness to use what he prescribed. It's neither wanted nor needed. I would have definitely died if he had fooled me. I knew that he had no grounds to diagnose me with anything. I was never evaluated. Drug pushers don't meet or converse with patients first. They arbitrarily stamp labels upon easy targets to shift the blame away from themselves. It's called bullying. They're also guilty of insurance fraud. Their rationale for misdiagnosis is the insurance companies have to be paid for something. The authorities are bribed to encourage violations. Every victim gets told, that's your own paranoia. Yeah, right, like all of these people would share a delusion. None of these people are paranoid. None of them are delusional. None of them are bipolar or schizo, this or that. The prisoners are kind, gentle, compassionate people. Every involuntary admission worsened post-traumatic stress disorder. The drug pushers denied I had PTSD because they had so much to do with worsening it. And now this. I finally fled the Continuum of Care scam. I'm doing the best I can to recover. I have footage of the empty shelves in the food pantry. I lost my food stamp card, ordered a new one. It took extra long for it to arrive, partially because of the delays at the post office, partially because of some miscommunication about it being sent to the wrong place, or something happened. And while I was without my food stamp card for months and months and months, I fell deeper in debt because I had to borrow money to order food. And the manager, Jess, retaliated by saying, there's no need to add anything to the pantry. She said, there's plenty there, you just don't like it. I got footage of the empty shelves, and that violent criminal still gets her easy paycheck. I could have starved to death. And that was in New Haven. I resorted to fleeing to a slum where I could have been murdered because I had to get out of where I was before. At the house in Wethersfield, where the predators could have raped me, I couldn't let the staff see me eating. If they saw me eating, they would bully me. I had to eat at night, so Leanne Farley retaliated by not allowing use of the stove at night. She instructed the unqualified staff members to not be near me when I had my cell phone, since I had evidence to embarrass them. They tried and failed to get me locked up. They called the cops in the mobile crisis team on me instead of the sexual predators who they were hoping would rape me. The point of sending me there was so that I'd get raped again. The evidence is incontrovertible. And I was forcibly drugged from 5th grade until my early 30s. I was subjected to unethical experimentation at the Wheeler Clinic in Plainville, Connecticut. I was kicked out of public school because autism made me an easy target for bullies, and then it made me an easy target to get experimented on by Dr. Richard Miller. He is a sadist who tortures children. He forcibly drugged me so I'd pull out my hair and sleep in class and get thrown in detention for sleeping in class. He still hasn't been brought to justice. He's still making a fortune forcibly drugging minors without anyone's permission. It's not even with their parents' permission. It's not like parents will be able to prevent that sadist from torturing their children. Since medical records can't be expunged, anybody who's ever been falsely accused of a non-existent mental disorder gets discriminated against infinitely. I was given a hard time at a dentist's office about a misdiagnosis from a long time ago. I was like, you can't be serious. I have an infection in my wisdom teeth and you're harassing me about medical records that were falsified a long time ago? And I was lied to. I was told to leave the past behind. The records were corrected. The records were never corrected. The false accusations of bipolar disorder and schizo this and that are still in the records. Neither autism nor post-traumatic stress disorder has anything to do with bipolar disorder or schizo this or that. It's all made up out of thin air. Dr. John Nazarian is a sadist who has electroshocked people just for not wanting to use what he prescribed. They don't want it, they don't need it, so he electroshocks them. And people who get electroshocked could be vegetables. They could drool on themselves and forget who they are. All of their memories get erased, including the good ones, not just traumatic memories. They lose their most cherished memories. They shake like a leaf and then take their own lives. That's what electroconvulsive torture does to people. Those atrocities still happen. The so-called independent fact-checkers were nowhere to be found when liars were denying that mental hospitals still exist. The torture is a lot worse now than it was when Ken Kesey wrote One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Kesey was brave and heroic for taking a stand against psychiatry. Unfortunately, the harsh criticism led to a crackdown. I was tortured by Michael Edward Balcones, John Avanis Nazarian, Jeffrey T. Shelton, Suzanne Wargo, Michael Higgison, Christopher Jurgen falsely accused me of being more than just a little bit paranoid, as if all of these people are paranoid. Yeah, right. The problem is the staff members, not the prisoners. Detoxification wards are run by junkies. Their motto is do as we say, not as we do. Dr. Manoharan gets his fix at Bristol Health. He's nodding off and talking with his eyes closed while preaching sobriety. He threatened forced injections of Zyprexa to cause diabetes, pancreatitis, and heart attacks, thus death. He got away with attempted murder. I'm not trying to gain 500 pounds a year. Dr. Jeffrey Shelton also said, Zyprexa would be your best bet, or something to that effect. Not verbatim, but he said something about a best bet. I paraphrased it. Zyprexa would have killed me. It probably would have been a gradual death. It'd make me gain 500 pounds per year, and then eventually feel like I'm getting stabbed in my abdomen from pancreatitis, then lose limbs from diabetes, then die of a heart attack. That's what Zyprexa does, and the rationale is that it's sedating. Yeah, right. They push drugs to cause anxiety attacks and claim these drugs are very sedating. They don't take what they prescribe to their victims. They get their fix improperly prescribing dope to themselves. It's all a dope party at the detoxification wards. It's a double standard. They stigmatize pain patients. At least some people have a medical reason to get sedated. The staff are straight up junkie pieces of shit. If they were in excruciating pain, they wouldn't drive to work. That is absurd. They pretend to be infested with opiophobia so they could keep the drugs for themselves. It's common knowledge, and of course nothing's done about it if the authorities are bribed. A missing detail is who's bribing what authorities. And no matter how many times I explained that I don't choose where to reside, nobody had the decency to simply transport me to a better setting. I got some snobby reply like, I don't remember the last time someone reached out to me without needing something. The person who said that had me thinking we were friends since I was like 13. The memories don't count because it was all fake. If he cared then he would still care. I mean, he had a car. He could have drove there and brought me elsewhere. A bunch of people were saying, oh, I'd love to chill sometime. Never happened. Actions speak louder than words. I was adamant that the place I move into would have to allow visitors because I have isolophobia, the fear of isolation. I fought tooth and nail to be allowed visitors. Nobody visited me. And I mean, yeah, it's a bit impractical to drive an hour there and an hour back. But I was there for over a year and didn't get one visitor. It's absurd. And, just because all of these people are adults now doesn't mean that they're literally always at work. Out of a whole crowd of people, there's no way that literally zero of them could have simply done what friends are for. I didn't ask for anyone's canteen in the desert. They act like I was asking for too much. Shouldn't have to ask for anything. I shouldn't have to ask to be brought to a better setting. They're supposed to invite me. It's what friends are for. They didn't stop partying, they just stopped inviting me. The same groups of friends just chill, I'm just not still in it. That was already the case before I got harassed and stalked. And I was never told any explanation for why these people stopped hanging out and stopped corresponding with me. It was over literally nothing. I didn't betray them, they betrayed me. I probably got replaced because they found somebody else who they could exploit even worse than me. Whoever this person is, I feel for you, buddy. Like, somebody's an easier target than me, apparently. That must be the only reason that they all abandoned me. And, if any of them had vented to me, I would have never disrespected them. If they were my friends, they would have believed me and cared, at the very least. They sided, well, some of them anyway, got fooled by the stalker. I had to get evidence. He antagonized me. I turned on the camera. Then he pretended to be the victim. It's called gaslighting. And I was getting snobby replies like, "You looked like a madman following him around with that camera." Yeah, right. Of course, it's gaslighting. It's not difficult to comprehend. And no matter how much evidence I have, the cops don't enforce the law. They break the law. It's known that Leanne Farley tried to blind me. I mentioned the photophobia before another light was added. They didn't really have to waste the electricity keeping the lights on. All of these things really happened, and the truth will eventually surface. The media censors me. That's discrimination called ableism and disableism. I'll do whatever it takes to make sure that I get closure. Not just me, but all victims and all survivors. Both current victims and former victims should have closure. Margaret Pianazak caused an anxiety attack by threatening to commit me when I got nearly murdered over a false rumor. When I lived in New Haven, some person indoctrinated his kids to be afraid of me. I got falsely accused of being a sex offender. If anyone had asked me my name, then it'd be as simple as Googling my name to learn that I'm not on that list. And, nobody asked me about it. Somebody tried to kill me. And he had a witness lie for him, and the cop said, if either of you get arrested, you'll both get arrested. I was flabbergasted. Of course his witness was lying for him. And then Margaret Pianazak accused me of lacking insight into my condition. I know that autism and PTSD have never been and will never be bipolar disorder or schizo this or schizo that. I know that I've never been and will never be bipolar or schizo this or that or psychotic. It's all made up. And even if it were true, the drug pushers couldn't possibly know that because they don't examine patients. The whole thing is a scam. All psychiatric facilities should be shut down because nobody deserves torture. Dave Olstrom of the Continuum of Care scam encourages violations. Allowing equals encouraging. I knew not to file a grievance because the unqualified staff members would retaliate even worse if I did. It might be him bribing the authorities to encourage violations. If not, he at least knows something about it. He's a high-ranking member of the Continuum of Care scam. I'm almost 100% certain that at the very least, Dave Ostrom knows who's bribing what authorities to encourage these violations. As for the lie that the reason people don't want to chill with me is because I'm unpleasant, why do you think that is? Knowing I have isolophobia, they're letting me rot in isolation. Friends don't let friends rot in isolation. Okay, I don't drive. It's not like I could drive anywhere to bring these people anywhere. The reason I don't solve the problems is because I can't. Okay? I can't possibly do that. It has nothing to do with, whether or not I would do such and such if I could. I can't do a damn thing. Of course I would help people if I could. It's what I've been trying to do. Nobody's helping me help myself, and that's why I'm not able to help anyone. Okay? If anyone's counting on me, I'm sorry. Okay? If people die because I'm unable to rescue them, it's because a bunch of pieces of shit won't even chill with me to help me recover from isolophobia. That's who is to blame. All right? I'm not really that old. I'm 36. There's no way that literally none of those people I knew before could still be around now. That is impossible. They don't all have kids. They don't all have more than one job. They're not all dying from disease. There's no way that all of these people could have a valid reason for not being around. That just doesn't make sense, and I'm just not buying it. All right? Look, the point of talking about negative topics is to address them. The problems don't get solved if they don't get addressed, and then I get blamed in some person who pretended to be my friend even tried to blame it on my perspective, trying to accuse me of preventing my own happiness. He said he didn't know what a conservatorship is, like he hadn't been told what it means that a lawyer has my money and I can't just come and go as I please. Like, I don't remember choosing anything. There's been a conservatorship since 2014. My memory got blurred by a lot of trauma. It's called confabulations. Like, I'm in chronic pain, and that's been the case for as long as I can remember, just like I've been forcibly isolated for as long as I can remember. Of course I have to talk about it because the first step to never solving it is to never address it. I'm getting blamed because it's easier to blame me than it is for any of these people to just admit that they're in the wrong. They won't take responsibility. They won't accept responsibility for their own actions, so they're blaming me. They're saying, "You're not the only person with problems. I don't know what the fuck you want from me." What a piece of shit. They're telling me, "I don't remember the last time someone reached out to me without needing something." What a piece of shit. They don't apologize because they're not sorry. I'll never accept any phony apology. What they owe me are explanations. They can at least explain why they pretended to be my friends and why they stopped pretending. They're reprehensible. Just the betrayal bothers me so much that it might be even worse than the torture, because the pieces of shit who tortured me were always pieces of shit. I never thought they were any good. But people I thought were my friends turned out to be pieces of shit. That's worse. It's worse because it's unexpected. Why?